My goodness, that's this. Let's get out of it. Oh, not a minute too soon. Thank God you brought your camera, so we were able to get out of the water. Hi there. I'm Dorothy Wilhelm. Could there be any doubt? I'm Dorothy Wilhelm, and again, I was so happy to be swimming upstream on the Swimming Upstream radio show. We've been off for a couple of months, but we are excited about our new home and our new person in charge. We call him the producer, but I don't think he knew he was going to be the producer, so I'm not sure what to tell him. Jason, come out for a minute.
Hi there.
Hi there. Jason Falls is a Scotch person, so that does not mean he consumes Scotch. That means that he comes of Scottish ancestry. We're so happy to be with the Falls and Partners. Are we a partner?
You're a partner now? Absolutely.
I know. Well, tell us just a little about yourself.
Sure. I'm an internet marketing guy. I do a lot of podcasting. I'm based in Louisville, Kentucky. And so that means I drink bourbon, not Scotch, but I don't drink too much of it. So that's good.
And did you want to say anything about the podcasts and how happy you are to be here? And
absolutely. I'm tickled to be a part of Swimming Upstream Radio. This has been fantastic to get to work with you, Dorothy, and I'm looking forward to many, many more episodes. I'm also a father of a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old, and I just enjoy doing this.
And we'll enjoy having you. And can we call you the producer? Because we are.
You can call me whatever you like.
I doubt that. Now, and folks want to listen next week when we do a generation gap. Jason's going to tell us more about his kids. We're going to be talking about how the kids disappoint us at different ages. I have an 80-year-old daughter, 70-year-old. I'm 80. Well, okay, fine. Jason, I am going to now introduce this irrepressible girl next to me. And that's the one, irrepressible. Irrepressible, how do you do?
I love that word, irrepressible.
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't born yesterday, So would you like to tell your true name?
Rebecca Murray.
Now, Rebecca Murray is also a podcaster and many other things. And she is going to tell you in 30 seconds or less what those other things are.
I am a speaker.
What do you speak on?
Communication skills, brevity, listening, and the human voice. That's my specialty area.
And what do people just love to hear you talk about?
The voice is a big one. And brevity, of course, is more about listening and not talking. But it is ironic that I do a 45-minute session on brevity, don't you think?
Yeah. No, I don't.
Okay.
I might have thought it last week, but I don't think it now. Anyway, so what we decided to do for today, generally, well, no, we don't. I started to say that generally we try to do serious things, but I've never tried to do a serious thing in my life, except having the babies. Having the babies was pretty serious. Yeah. But I thought that with the world going to hell as it is, I thought it would be a nice thing if we brought people some kind of cheerful news. As you know, Swimming Upstream, the whole idea is to take you to people and things you would never find any other way except swimming away against the current. So we're going to tell about some things that we know now that we didn't know yesterday at the same time.
Okay.
When we started the world. So do you have a starting item? Or?
I do. Well, Swimming Upstream, what I didn't know then that I know now is that every success that I've had in my life has been because I have learned to swim upstream.
That is a marvelous thing. Since it plugs my show, say more.
Yes. Well, thinking about all the careers that I've had that I had no training for.
Right.
Of course, I went to a graduated college, never used my degree, ended up in a completely different field, had to learn from scratch, swim upstream, did very well. Went into another field, same thing, another field, same thing. And now I'm circling back to what I was really born to do, what I did in my living room at 18 months of age is to sing, perform. I call myself an edutainer. So singing, is a big part of using your voice. So now I'm back to square one, which is sort of my native talent. But everything else, and of course, being successful as a speaker and trainer, I continue to swim upstream.
Now, maybe it's possible that there are some in our audience that aren't aware of what it takes to be a speaker and trainer, or why you don't want to try. So, what do you do? What are you doing that's valuable in the world?
Well, when I can get together with a group of people who want to learn one thing that can take them a step further in their career or in their personal life. And that one thing that I focus on is communication. So how to express yourself with authenticity and confidence, to use your voice throughout your life, to learn how to use your voice so that others can hear you. That's really it.
And what's kind of interesting about that is that you never know where it will take you, because, for instance, after 45 years as a speaker, now that I have Parkinson's disease, keeping my voice is not a fun thing, and it's something I must do.
Yes.
So sometimes that happens.
Right. Can you speak more to that, using your voice, how you think about your voice now?
I can, and I might.
Because that is an example of swimming upstream.
Thank you for pointing that out to me, darling, she says as she pushes her off the chair and watches her bounce down the floor. See, this I don't know. You apparently didn't get it. This is my show.
This is your show.
We will.
Thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah.
You're going to want to watch Rebecca Murray's show. It's a good show. It isn't this show. It's a good. Tell them how to find your show.
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn at Rebecca P. P as in Pierce Murray. And that Pierce comes from Kentucky. Jason, my father, that's where my father grew up in Louisville.
Yeah.
And see, I even know how to pronounce that properly.
Yeah.
You do.
One of 15 siblings, and made his way out of Louisville to California, where I was born. And yeah.
So that's very good. Louisville's good. We were stationed at Fort Campbell, which is up the road there a bit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Right.
So we all kind of have these roots. Well, anyway, I'm just
back to the topic at hand.
I wouldn't mind speaking about the importance of my voice, but I don't know what the hell you're asking for.
Well, we were talking about it last night, how one's voice.
About it last night. We just as well tell them, darling, that you spent the night.
I did.
And she is the first person, not my daughter, though she could be my daughter. She is the first person, not my daughter, to get to spend the night in my assisted living quarters, and it's been wild, right?
Yes.
And so we've talked a lot about how important and how people frequently don't realize how important their voice is.
Yes.
And that's why what you do. For me, I've always been a comic with creative living, how to live creatively and with joy. But when 2 years ago, when I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, well, it takes you a while to get used to the idea. But what I found out was very likely I'm going to lose my voice unless I can do something to stop it. Mm-hmm. So what you do, I'm singing in the chorus now. Anyone who is near Lacey, Washington, we're having our concert next weekend, and it's going to be very good. So you do that. But in addition, it's important to exercise and keep those muscles open. Mm-hmm. And to say to yourself, now this is the thing I was going to say that I know that I didn't know. I certainly didn't know until comparatively recently. Whatever you need, you got it already. Mm. It's as you were saying, you keep coming back and doing something else, but you already had it.
Yes, I already had it. Yeah.
So I know that. For me, I'm looking at a way to keep the voice, and I'm very aware of how much my voice has changed, but I've still got it. And then you also, at the same time, look into, well, yes, but what could I be doing differently? What if I must? What'll I do?
Yes.
I have no idea, but I'm going to find out. So, because I think everything is buried in there. And you never know. Now you invite people to your home, and the next thing you know, they're throwing things out of your lockers and suitcases, and they're telling you things that A, you already knew, or D, you didn't. So D.
Yes.
D, you didn't want to know. Go on.
Oh. Or eating your fruitcake.
No, I don't mind. You can even take the fruitcake with you.
Really?
Yeah, you can. She likes fruitcake.
And she likes fruitcake.
but I can always get more.
Yeah, that's true. It is very good fruitcake. I must
So
say.
what do you think how did you, I don't think we ever got to how you found out that not only could you do something about the voice, but it was
Mhm.
important. How did you find that out?
Well, I've always felt it was important. In fact, I have a picture that I keep on my desk at 18 months old where I'm in the living room by myself. And on the back, you know how you used to write things on the
Yes,
back of
yes.
pictures back then? My mother wrote, she sings, dances, plays the harmonica, then claps for herself.
Well, who is gonna if you don't?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that's been one of my mottos, I guess. Be your own number one fan. Be your own number one fan. Give yourself a standing ovation from time to time to congratulate yourself for the
Yes.
hard things that you do, for the courageous things that you do, to recognize the courage in
And
what you do.
appreciate.
Appreciate yourself.
Yeah.
Right, right. Appreciate yourself. So important.
And then I think it depends. Each person, our kids, for instance, are in a different place in life, and therefore what they're doing, sometimes it's even hard for them to imagine what we're doing.
Right, absolutely. Yes. So thinking back about the voice, I have to pay tribute to my ninth grade teacher. So this was after my father um, um, passed away.
Yes.
We moved to a new city, new school, didn't know anybody, and I was in a choir class. My choir teacher, as I was leaving one day, Mrs. Dorothy West, asked me to stay and said, "We're putting on our first ever musical here. I've chosen your music." It was Blue Moon.
Oh,
Let's practice right now. And I had, of course, no intention ever of doing anything like that. But I auditioned and got the lead. And that
Mhm.
really was the first domino in my confidence in myself and in my voice.
You're bringing up a point that I found really valuable, is that seed is back there somewhere.
Yes.
You can find it. I knew I was going to be a media person on Pearl Harbor Day, and I was probably 6. And what happened? We were living in Spokane in the landlady's apartment upstairs, and it was terrible. She would come upstairs thundering as she came and turn off all the lights. All the time,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
So anyway, but on Pearl Harbor Day, of course, we did have a radio, but the radio wasn't able to get news the way it is now. And so the first we heard of the war was the news voice who came into the neighborhood and are crying, extra. And the news
The
was that Pearl Harbor,
newsboy.
yeah, at Pearl Harbor, and I'd never heard it before because there'd not been anything that,
Right.
So they were coming in and they were crying that the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor. And it was the first I understood that you could take the news to the people. You could take this story to the people.
Wow, that is a great story.
And so, and so ever since that, I knew that was what I was going to do. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And don't you think what happens next, as a rule, is that we may decide what we're going to do next, but we then kind of dismiss it by saying, "Oh, but there's no way."
Yes, but there's
Oh,
no way.
but I couldn't do that.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to be a Hollywood movie star. That's what I thought when I saw Julie Andrews on the screen, both in Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music. That was my dream. And of course, after I got that lead role in junior high school,
Yeah.
I thought maybe I have a chance. But then, and doing some more acting. But then my mother said, that's impractical, right? You need to be an engineer, do something with your math skills. And so I let that dream go. But what I feel like now is I'm coming back to that dream and living it in real life.
And again, it's there.
It's there.
It never
Yes,
goes away.
yes. So this is our form of Hollywood. This is my form of Hollywood.
Oh my.
Ta-da!
Well, I'm a little sorry to hear that.
No, it is though. And you're in Hollywood every day.
I am not in Hollywood.
Well-
I've come. See, here's the thing, dear. I'm a time traveler. I come from a different generation. There's no going back. And my whole philosophy is, I hope you don't turn yellow before you die. That's one. Look at that. And my whole philosophy is that those of us that come from the 30s know some things you guys don't know at all.
Mhm.
And I personally think that we have the answers. It's just that we haven't put them all together.
Mm.
And I did a show over here at the convalescent center, and I taught them, everyone was in wheelchairs, and I taught them a cheer for the chair. And we are all to go around and say, I know some stuff. I know some stuff, and we can use it. We often don't realize, A, what we know, and B,
Because we've forgotten half of it.
that's exactly right. Now, I noticed that you brought A, a mirror, and B, a can of Folgers coffee with you.
Yes, yes.
And I have only the most dreading ideas of why you did it.
Well, when you said last night what the theme of the show was today,
You
which
might
is
remind, yes, right.
which
you might
is,
remind them.
something that we know now that we wish we knew then.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought of this mirror that I now carry in my suitcase. It is a magnifying mirror that an 80-something-year-old woman gave me as a gift when I turned 40. Now, I was totally confused because my eyesight was perfect back then, 2020. But as I got older, I realized the value in having a magnifying mirror to put on one's makeup. And now I even have one at home that has lights around it where I can turn it on and make sure that I don't have mascara underneath my eye versus on my eyelashes.
You don't like mascara underneath your eye.
No, that looks, yeah, the raccoon look is not a good one for me. So I was confused, but now I see the light and see my reflection. The Folgers coffee, which we enjoyed this morning.
Yes, we did. I wonder if they'll send us any coffee, do you think?
Oh, that might be a good sponsor for you.
Maybe.
From Campbell to Folgers.
Yeah, that could be.
Well, I'll tell you, I was watching Dorothy make the coffee last night because she asked me, what time are you getting up in the morning? We'll have the coffee, just push the button and we'll have coffee. And I saw her bring this big plastic jar of Folgers out and set it on the counter. And my first thought was, uh-oh. It was. I'm a coffee snob. So I was worried.
I didn't know that.
I was worried.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know what? If it's really bad coffee, when I leave, I'll go to Starbucks and,
cleanse my palate.
Okay. Yes, exactly. So this morning I got the coffee and she makes great coffee, nice and strong. And it was delicious. I was shocked. I had 2 full cups. And, I remember Folgers like with a percolator. And of course, I wasn't old enough to drink coffee, but I think Folgers came out with a freeze-dried like in the 70s. And I probably had that a few times and it was horrible. Freeze-dried coffee, terrible. I'm sure they've improved it today.
I don't think
but this was very, very good. I give the 5 stars to Folgers. Thank you.
Isn't that is terrific. So we've learned some things about cooking and brands. And for instance, Bisquick used to sponsor me too.
Oh, is that
and I love, I'm that kind of a girl. And I suppose you're a Bisquick snob too.
I am.
I got it. I got that right away. You can make anything with Bisquick.
I used to make things with Bisquick,
but obviously not well.
But I don't. But I don't make things with Bisquick anymore. I use Whole Foods now. Whole Foods, like
Whole Foods,
like real food.
So.
Real food.
As we move along here, let's think next about, we both have children. Mine, of course, are superior in every way. And what do you know about children and raising them that you didn't know?
Oh, don't worry so much when they aren't doing well or you think that they're not doing well. Yeah. It's most of them will figure their way out of it, and worrying and nagging won't do anything to help the relationship.
Well, and you just said a really important thing, because really the worst thing you can do is worry and nag them, because they will figure it out. They will work it out. Mm-hmm. One of the things I learned was that sometimes kids just want a mom. is after my husband died, and I was in broadcasting, and I used to love it that people would stop on the street and talk to me. They still do occasionally, by the way. They and I thought that was fun. I thought it was great, but the kids didn't. They had already lost their dad, and now we couldn't go anywhere without being interrupted. And I remember a lady saying to Patrick, my youngest, "Oh, aren't you lucky to have such a marvelous mom?" And he said, "You ought to go home with us sometime, lady." And so, but what I learned about kids is sometimes they just want a mom. They just, or a dad.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, I was a stepmom.
Mhm.
I met Josh when he was 5 years old. And so I kept my distance to a point because he already had a mom full on in the picture. Right. And the other thing that I learned is, knowing that each household had their own set of guidelines and rules, that sort of thing, and that ours were more strict. I regret, and I've apologized for this, that I was a stickler, for things that don't really matter. And I would get on his case for not doing the recycling exactly right, or not, doing this or that exactly right, or not doing it on my timeline versus his. And in my mind, I would spin it out of control and make it a big thing when it wasn't.
But I have a thing that goes with that, and it would be different, I think, to be a stepmother. I'm not sure because I've not been one, but I find that having those rules to bounce against are what save kids. Is that because now we're seeing so much distress and confusion and everything, and in many cases it's because they don't know what they can do. If they have guidelines, now they're not going to follow them. They are not going to do what you wanted them to. I remember my daughter, my oldest daughter, coming out into the room where I was changing the diaper on the newest baby. We had babies. Every time we changed stations, we had new babies. So it kind of kept it from getting dull. And she's watching me changing the diaper, and she says, "I forget, why didn't you like the idea of sex before marriage?" Well, you don't know. I ain't going to tell you.
I forget.
Well, now you won't believe we have had such a scintillating time. You will not believe we are coming to the end, but now is the time I'm going to give you carte blanche, a little bit to say something inspirational that our guests will take with them. They'll say, "You wouldn't believe what I heard today."
Well, my inspirational message is actually about you, Dorothy.
Really and truly.
Yeah, really.
Really and truly.
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
I was excited to spend time with the Empress of the World.
Well, that is true. And they don't all realize that I am the Empress of the World.
Well, now they know.
Now they know.
Now they know. And I love that you put an exclamation mark after your name. I mean, the confidence and courage, the guts that you have. I mean, the spark that you have, that you keep putting yourself, using your voice in many different ways, on stages. Still, you're picking up the phone and getting more gigs, more speaking gigs, writing books, talking about those, putting on shows. I mean, absolutely, I'm so inspired by you.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm inspired by you. You may not have realized this, but you're younger than I am. And so I have kind of a role model as I get younger.
And I get older.
It's funny how that works out. I mean, really and truly. And as they used to say in radio, the old clock on the wall shows that we don't have much time. How would you like people to get in touch with you if they wanted to?
Yeah, LinkedIn is a great way, at Rebecca P for Pierce, Rebecca P. Murray. And then my website is RebeccaPMurray.com or ShowcaseYourShine.com.
It's wonderful. It's been so fun having you here. And we must get together sometime again.
Let's do.
Let's wait a while, though. This has been the Swimming Upstream radio show. In the olden days, we used to say this is the, isn't that funny? SOB Radio Network. And SOB stands for Spunky Old Broads. And so I'm hoping I can still borrow that to take to the new network. We are on just darn near more than you want us to be, but there's a new show every Monday morning. Thank you to our dear friend Jason. Thank you to our dear friend Rebecca. And I'm getting out of here, guys. Bye now.